Hello, I'm Shield War 100 and welcome back to my games room for another Bot War 2 Turbo Edition game report. Today I'm going to have a game between the Valiants led by Longstride as they track down a rumour that Mega Tyrant of the Deceivers has been involved in exploiting these jungle areas for a seek of mystic energy. Source of mystic energy, sorry. Going to be playing the green energy scenario basically, so I figured I'd put some green out. I know it's not quite in canon, apparently, but what the heck. So I've got my new Vietnam terrain here for some Vietnam gaming, and I thought I might as well use it for some bot war first, whilst I paint up the models. And so yeah, why not? Let's have a quick look at which models are in each side, and yeah, we'll get on with the game as soon as possible. So here we are, looking distinctly like the baddies. We've got the evil Deceivers who've tracked down a source of energy to this mystic swamp to try and take advantage of it to rule the world, etc, etc. Right, we have Guilt, Silenia, Mega Tyrant behind, he's the boss, Turbo, this is Scope, Siphene and Fear, finally, to make an 80-point force. And yeah, quite happy with how these guys turned out painting wise, but yeah, should be quite fun to use them. I think individually the Deceivers have, generally speaking, better stat lines, scarier forces, but a bit of a problem with energon management, so we'll see how the green energy scenario suits them or not. Okay, let's have a look at the Valiants. And here are the brave Valiants here to save the day and nature. We've got Code Red, Ajax, Angel in the front there, Phantom, Longstride, he's the boss today, Cold Start, Herbs, and finally Iron Skin, one of my favourite models because he's got the gold chain. And yeah, it's a good well-rounded force, and looking forward to just getting some twisted metal out on the board. So without further ado, let's move on and get deployed. So here's deployment, and both sides are on the board. Okay, and the mystic pool in the middle, as you can see. So green, the way this scenario works is that the green energy is emanating from this pool in particular, as opposed to being within 1 inch of it to gain the green energy. I'm just going to say you actually have to go into it because it's a big empty area of space, so a bit dangerous. And so yes, just entering into it will grant each bot on your force a freebie green energy point, which can be spent as per the ordinary generated pink energy that you get. So it's really good. Of course, only each model can only generate this for the entire side once per game. So so with her ability to advance deployment, Siphene has actually gone ahead and got herself some green energy for her entire Deceiver team. And no doubt at Mega Tyrant's orders, she was sent in first to test the waters, and it's given them all an instant boost just as the Valiants arrive on the scene. A bit too late, so yeah. Right, so what's going to happen is the way I'm dealing with terrain, because the rules are a little bit shady on terrain, to be perfectly honest, is basically make it up as you go. Right, the areas of greenery are basically I'm taking a bit of a leaf out of an old Warhammer 40,000 rule, which is very simple. You can't shoot from one side across to all the way onto the other. However, you can shoot into it and out of it, nice and simple. So but if anyone shoots into or out, shoots into it to a model inside the scenery, they count as being in cover, and that's basically it. Okay, the rules for cover are very simple and straightforward in this game anyway. I think it gives you a reroll, or it might give you an extra critical dice on your shielding to defend against shooting attacks, so I'll double check that as I go. It's pretty powerful though if you do get it. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of firefighting, but the greenery and the need to get the green energy should hopefully mean that people close to shorter ranges. Okay, so that's that. So I'm going to get on now. I'm going to allocate myself some energy cubes. Of course, the Deceivers will have a slight advantage in this first turn. Oh, and one more thing, units can't collect it more than once or they get destroyed, so Siphene here really needs to leave that pool this turn, otherwise next turn she'll explode at the beginning of it, so we don't want that. Well, the action's already kicked off as Fear activated first, be it having the lowest strategy rating. He moved around the corner with one energon and then had a speculative shot at Iron Skin, who was still in the cover. He managed to avoid the shots easily. Iron Skin, for his part, has moved out of the cover, picked up some green energy for all of his Valiant chums. Surely green energy is good if it's used for good, yeah? So there you go. And but he has, however, saved the remainder of his energy to use as shielding. He's only got one cube of it, and that's the green energy he's picked up, but he's saving that rather than using it for a speculative shot at long range. Finally, Apex activated. He was back here. He used 2 movement activations to bundle his way forwards into the cover of the forest here. He's obviously looking to get use with that combat axe at some point, so that's his obvious plan. Ever the headstrong one, I'm guessing. Okay, let's keep moving and grooving. The firefight is truly underway. Herb moved up to the edge of the wood and opened fire on Siphene, who took a couple of points of damage from his close range supercharged shot. Who next? Oh yes, Turbo activated, and he used his air support ability to jet all the way across the board next to Angel, and then used an upgraded shot to basically obliterate her in one volley of fire. He rolled a mighty 10 hits on his dice. She could only block so much. Even when she put extra cubes into her boost her defense, wasn't enough. 7 points of damage. Thank you very much. Sorry, Angel, your inaugural first game, I think, was she did not do well. Did not have much of a chance. Finally, Scope, the little guy, moved into the Mystic Swamp, giving the Deceivers another slight boost of energy, and then he shot and blinded Iron Skin for his next activation into the bargain. Only 1 point damage done, but that's all it takes. Iron Skin is now blinded until the end of his next activation, so that's that. Let's carry on. Oof, brutal already a model down. Seeking vengeance after Angel's demise, Phantom here moved to the side, so he got a clear shot at Fear and opened fire with his ground-to-air missile and destroyed Fear in one volley at long range. That ground-to-air missile is amazing against Deceivers, as Fear just found out. 1 round destroyed, bang, dead. Long Stride activated next and moved through the jungle here. Had a speculative shot at Mega Tyrant, but it bounced off his armor in the cover there. And finally, Silenia, urged on by Mega Tyrant, drunk on energy as he is, she was forced into the pool here to give the Deceivers yet more power, and had a shot at Iron Skin into the bargain and did him mighty damage as well. He's down to 2 hit points remaining at this point. Okay, let's keep going. It turns out that green energy is more dangerous than the Deceivers realised, as Cold Start activated, and he has the Surge special rule. He stayed put and opened fire at long range. He didn't have an awful lot of energy on anyway, so he just had 2 small shots at long range. The first one at Siphene completely missed, Silenia, missed altogether. The second one did a couple of points of damage, but that caused feedback loop throughout the entire Deceivers ranks. Every point of green energy they still had on their cards caused them 1 point of damage, which for those who hadn't activated yet, like Guilt for example, was 3 points of damage, which is not to be sniffed at all. So yes, nasty damage there. The Deceivers now realising that their potential error. Anyway, so that was Silenia taking some damage from Cold Start. Who was up next? Oh yes, Guilt then activated. He flew forwards to do a short range shot at the offending blue Valiant. Despite rolling really well, the Cold Start's defense dice came up just 1 short, so he took 1 point of damage from the barrage at short range, so he got quite lucky there given the destruction that's been meted out so far. Finally, Siphene activated over here. She knew she had to leave the swamp, so she moved out and did a close range shot at Herbs. Despite being small, he was still hit, and he has been mind controlled for 1 point, meaning that his shields are reduced by 1, to 1 for the remainder of the game. Okay, wow, so lots of scrap metal being thrown around here. Code Red activated for the Valiants. He moved into the jungle and had a short range shot at Guilt. Decided not to overcharge it at all, and paid the price because no damage was done to the yellow Deceiver. So yeah, well, can't odds the dice, I suppose. Finally, Mega Tyrant strode into action, levelled his humongous cannon at Herbs and obliterated the weakened Valiant in one humongous volley. So there we go. And that concludes turn 1. We've already seen plenty of damage done to both sides. Lots more done, well, due to my stupidity of not reading up the surge rule beforehand, and well, that's the price you get for hubris, I suppose, on the part of the Deceivers. We're going to move into turn 2, and I expect the model count to reduce heartily by the end of that one as well. Turn 2 began exactly where turn 1 left off, as first of all, Apex charged into the middle, used his ram attack and absolutely swiped Scope in half with his combat axe. Disgusting. Also netting the Valiants a bunch more green energy into the bargain by entering the Mystic Pool. Ironskin didn't have a lot to do because he was still blinded by Scope from the previous turn, so his line of sight was reduced to 2 inches, which meant he couldn't actually engage anyone in close combat, and so he backed up into the forest and got within 2 inches of Guilt, had a shot but did no damage. Guilt's high running streak on the defense dice continues there. Finally, Turbo activated, still had plenty of green energy in his tank from last turn. He moved into the jungle, did a high powered shot at Code Red, and did a few points of damage there. Code Red reduced to 3 damage remaining now, so there you go. Let's keep going. Right, the rockets fly again as Phantom opened fire on Turbo there, hitting the Deceiver hard, reducing him to 1 remaining hit point. Terrifying stuff, but not enough to take him out of the fight altogether. Longstride, bellowing a challenge to the Deceiver leaders, strode out of the jungle and short range opened fire with his nuclear shells, hitting the Mega Tyrant there, and hitting it. Well, nuclear shells mean that every activation or power boost will cost Mega Tyrant an additional power cube this turn, so it really will weaken the Deceiver leader there. Finally, Silenia activated. She was in the Mystic Pool, so had to leave it, but before she went, she got a desultory shot off at Apex, hitting him hard, reducing him to 2 remaining hit points before diving out into cover of the jungle there. So yeah, more and more firepower being unleashed in this clearing. Each and every remaining activation in turn 2 resulted in at least 1 dead bot, so let's start where it all started, shall we? Coldstart activated, and despite putting loads of energy into it, just barely did enough to destroy Guilt before Guilt got his revenge for dealing damage via Surge last turn. In response, Siphene activated from over here, powered into Ironskin and rammed a armor-clad fist through the back of his abdomen and destroyed the Valiant there. Going back to it, then Code Red activated, had a shot at each of Siphene and Turbo, and succeeded in destroying the Turbo at the back there, took his last point of damage off him quite easily. And finally, Mega Tyrant, weakened by nuclear shells, decided to wade into the pool for some emergency boosted energy, and was able to use his melee attack to destroy Apex easily. Mega Tyrant easily has the best stats on the board this time, so it was a matter of ease to destroy the weakened Valiant. So yes, 4 more bots down, and that's the end of turn 2. We're going to go into turn 3 shortly, just going to reallocate some power cubes, etc. Okay, into turn 3. Phantom started proceedings by now. He's got the lowest initiative, and he was able to smoke Siphene just there with his shots. This guy is just too dangerous against any models with the air support rule, and yeah, that's that. He just destroyed her. On his second shot, albeit, but nonetheless, it was it. Longstride activated, moved into the Mystic Pool, giving all of his fellow Valiants an extra bit of energy. energy. He then, well, he used his ram attack to do so, incidentally, and then swiped Mega Tyrant with a mighty close combat attack into the bargain, knocking the Deceiver leader down to just 2 points of life remaining. So yes, Mega Tyrant smarting heavily after that attack, and then Silenia finally moved up into close range against Code Red, shot at him, but the cover saved him. He was able to, well, the trees soaked up the firepower there, so yeah, no easy kill there for the Deceivers, I'm afraid. And that's it, we're calling it now. Unfortunately for the Deceivers, they were just not able to take any more damage back, so yeah. First of all, Cold Star activated, had a couple of shots at Siphene, knocked her down to 1 damage, and Code Red finished her off eventually. She actually rolled really well for her defense dice, but it was just not enough against that much firepower. Finally, Mega Tyrant activated. Because he's suffering from the nuclear problem once again, thanks to Longstride's melee attack damaging him. He had 2 power cubes left, no one to steal one off of because of his tyrannical rule, so he could either have stayed put and done a desultory swipe with his combat mace on Longstride to see if he could have, well, maybe killed him in 1 round of combat. Possible, but not 100% likely. But if he, or he could make his escape. He decided to make his escape. If he'd stayed put for his 1 desultory swipe, he would have died, because staying in the Mystic Pool too long causes you to explode. So I figured that's not a very Mega Tyrant thing to do, even for the sake of Revengi. So he has decided to beat a hasty retreat, to regroup, rebuild his bots, and come back, or find another power source somewhere else that the Valiants don't know about. That was a clear victory for the Valiants, although they did lose 4 of their number. They have decisively defeated this Deceiver raiding party, so to speak. And yeah, that was a fun game. I do enjoy this game. There's so much going on with relatively few stats. It's not just because the baseline stats, there's not a huge difference from bot to bot, but the different abilities they have, and the subtle differences here and there, make so much of a difference. And the aesthetics of the game, well, I mean, I really love these models. They're all so much fun to use and play, and it's such a colourful little game compared to things like historicals and things. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this game as much as I did. I'll be going through, getting some more stuff done, trying to get some different scenery types. As you can see, this is definitely not Gotham City, and yeah, I shall see you next time.